Good morning. It's been a morning. A little bit hectic. Brother's back in town. That's the good news. Anyway, another way to talk about spiritual inquiry, your spiritual journey, is to call it a process of remembering. When we come into this world, in many ways, we're a clean sheet, a new beginning. Now you have to factor that into karmic debt, so that the conditions that we're born in, physical, spatial, our environment, our parents, is linked to karma past. But within those confines, within those restrictions, we're pretty much a clean slate when we're born. And you can see, could be looked at one way as a process of remembering what you've always known, remembering what you've always been. I don't really delve too much into reincarnation, past lives, even karma for that matter. It seems to me that all those things are what they are. And maybe at some point we'll have a deeper understanding of what happened before we're born and what happened after we're born. I do want to share something I've shared before, but in this context it bears repeating. In the 2 or 3 day experience that I went through from abiding, to use Adyashanti's words, non-abiding to abiding, awakening, I use progressive and permanent. And before I digress into what I wanted to talk about, I just wanted to mention here that my term permanent awakening is apropos. Because when you do wake up, and trust me, you'll know when it happens. You won't need anyone to tell you. If you have doubt, then it hasn't happened. Remember, I'm a man of skepticism and doubt. But when this 2-day event occurred for me, to me, of me, doubt and skepticism no longer existed, at least in terms of my awakening. And another quality of awakening is that you can't go back. There's no going back to unawakened state. And as an awakened being, life is no cup of tea. This process can be, for me, it was grueling. And I've talked about it before and I won't go into it again. But careful what you wish for. It might come true. So when you're in a state of mind and you realize that you can't go back, everything's permanently changed, then you know that your experience was valid. And in this 2.5 day extended meditation, I did experience past lives. But the way that I visualized it was myself on an inner tube with a cup of green tea, or better yet, espresso. Cup of green tea, cup holder, big fat inner tube, truck tire, meandering down this really curvy, slow-moving river. And to my left and to my right, I would catch glimpses of my past lives. I'd be involved in some activity. And this meandering down the windy river, looking at past lives, took a long time. There was a lot to look at. But strangely, I wasn't vested in any of those experiences, episodes, lifetimes that I witnessed. Detached. Just as the silent witness within me is detached to have a clear view. So I knew that was my last life. Those were earlier lifetimes. But it was just as if I was watching random scenes. I just didn't feel personally involved. And I'm sure at each of these lifetimes, I was, by definition, involved. So this has been my experience with past lives and reincarnations. And I didn't remember this. I had forgotten all of these experiences. Little deja vu, little moments of insight, little flashes would come, but few and far between. I certainly had no grand illusions about being somebody in a past life. Feeling more comfortable assuming that I would be the guy who cleaned the horses' stables, a farmer, a laborer, maybe a hunter, maybe a soldier. But among the ranks of the many. So I always avoided. I didn't have any trap of thinking that, gee, I was the King of England, blah, blah, blah. What's the chances? What's the odds? Stable keep. Maybe the village idiot. Not a stretch. But this came to me at 65, a couple months after my 65th birthday. And previous to this, I wasn't too concerned. I never was concerned about past karma. I got interested in cleaning up my present karma so that it wouldn't add to my karmic debt. And I've said before, karma is karma. The idea of good karma and bad karma is just that, an idea. Again, polarities, good karma, bad karma, the sameness of karma. Good karma will hold you in your body just as much as bad karma. Maybe your circumstances will be better, but it's important to realize that karma is karma. Even though pop culture, we have this delusional idea that good karma is somehow better than bad karma. Karma simply means a collection of your actions, reactions, mental thoughts, emotions. It's a collection. And it's a burden that you need to be free of, to stop the process, to no longer need to return to a human body in this earthly plane. You can move on to another level of existence. Unless you choose to remain those beautiful bodhisattva souls that sacrifice their own evolution, or at least postpone it until they can help as many as they can help. And once you see that the timelessness, that time is also an artificial construct, at least linear time, time that can be measured, time that can only be experienced as a space-time continuum. What we see as the ethers surrounding us is a different beast. So the blessing of being born with a fresh slate. I've heard some talk, I've had a little bit of insight into dealing with karma past as you're preparing to incarnate. And I suspect that some choice is available to us as spirits looking to incarnate into a fresh experience, a new life. Maybe we can help to choose parents, country, conditions, experiences that will help us to deal with accumulated past karma. Maybe. It's fun. I speculate on things, but it really is as I said before, in the realm of the unknowable, in our current state of awareness. Maybe these past lives, maybe they can become clearer to some people as they go through their spiritual inquiry. But for me, I didn't see much point. It was entertaining to watch, to sit back and sip an espresso. Or maybe gulp. It's called a shot, after all. So I wasn't particularly interested in my past lives. Thinking more of the present. But this process of first, before we're born, we probably remember to forget. So can you imagine if you brought 10,000 lives to this one? Isn't this single life a handful? How'd you like to live with the weight of 10,000 plus lifetimes, previous lifetimes on your shoulders? Don't we have enough opportunity to screw up in this one without having the additional burden? So, remembering, as we prepare the soul to come into the body, we remember to forget. And we come into this life and we begin the process on the other side, forgetting to remember. And the great majority muddle through a whole lifetime or a bunch of lifetimes without having to try even to remember. When I was teaching university, I had a special interest in the A students, the top ones, especially language acquisition, history. My top students got a lot of my attention because I needed to motivate them. I needed them. Somehow we get complacent. We're on the top and we forget that to push, to learn more. And I was interested in the bottom. My students that just couldn't or didn't get it. Now, these students on the bottom are basically of two types. One type just doesn't care. And I never found a way to get them to care. But there's others that would do their best, and still their best wasn't good enough. They just didn't get it. These are the ones, probably my favorite students. I cherish them, and I put effort and focus to help them. And in between the top and the bottom is this huge group, the majority, who are always going to be okay. And I was okay knowing they'd be okay. The students in the middle would stumble upon a job, stumble upon a career, stumble upon a mate, stumble upon a family, stumble upon a mortgage. They would always be okay. And that's how I feel about most humanity. They're going to be okay. And there'll come a point where they'll start self-motivating the process of remembering. Remembering what they put effort into forgetting when they came into this life. And it's this process of remembering that I feel a calling, impelled instead of compelled. Impelled to do whatever I can in my humble abilities to help them along the path of remembering. And one of the aha moments when I'm talking to anybody and they said, I knew that. Well, of course you did. Of course you do know that. There's nothing that can come out of my mouth that most can realize that they somehow knew that. So rather than imparting new information, my goal has always been to help that light of remembrance. Nothing is better. No words make me feel so fulfilled as hearing someone say, I knew that. Now, there's some know-it-alls that will always say, I knew that. And I could see through that. You could see through that. But when someone sincerely says they knew that, it resonates. It feels real, sincere. And the idea is that this will give them the impetus to continuing the process of remembering what they've forgotten. And I think that that's why when you're on the path, it feels so comforting, so reassuring in its familiarity. Been there, done that. Yes, this is the feeling to nurture. Because indeed, we've all been there, we've all done that. So, keep remembering what you had forgot. Keep remembering until you're embraced in the unity, the completeness, the wholeness. And you feel compassion as you understand that we're all indeed brothers and sisters of the same essence. I've often looked at a life experience as an ocean being the infinite source. The ocean splashes up individual drops become apparently separate from the ocean, but they're of the ocean, they're from the ocean. It's only illusion of separateness, and that's a lifetime. And as we experience this lifetime, as brief as it actually is, it will return to the source, return to Mother Ocean, and be indistinguishable from everything in the ocean, which is my metaphor. The ocean is eternal existence. Living in the moment is all there is. The past, the future, just don't exist. So all we have is the present moment. But accepting that we have the present moment, we do have a choice. Do we look back at the past with regrets, sorrows, happiness, birth of a child, wedding days, divorce days? Do we look back at the past, or do we look forward to the future? It's a choice. And I choose to look for the future with the complete understanding that anything that I think about the future is just that, a thought. Because the future has yet to be written. What I do in this moment definitely has an impact on my future. How I respond to the challenges of my life as I meet them from moment to moment shapes the future. And where there's order, there's also disorder. Where there's function, there's also dysfunction. Where there's order, there's chaos. And these chaotic conditions definitely play a part in our future change, chance. So this is meant to be as a humbling sharing, a humbling realization that many factors in the future are just out of our hands. What we do have is the moment and conscious effort to live each moment to its utmost, to the utmost of your abilities to do things correctly, do things that aren't going to add to future karma, add it with past. Present is our opportunity to embrace wholeness, perfection, completeness. This is our opportunity. So, either way, looking back at the past or looking forward to the future, one seems to be have more than its share of regrets. The conditional tense should have, could have, would have loom large in the past. The future, on the other hand, at least for me on a personal level, is entertaining speculation. It's a form of escapism. It's a form of mental effort and exercise. And it is nothing more than that to me. I'm always surprised by what really happens as the future becomes the now. Deeply surprised. And I love that about life. I love the uncertainties. I accept change. So, remembering to forget becomes forgetting. I got it backwards. Forgetting to remember, we're here. Remembering what we forgot, we're on the path. There really are no surprises. It may seem to be a surprise, but it's consequence of chaos, order, karma. What's the opposite of karma? Doing nothing? Maybe that was from the Tao Te Ching, Wu Wei. We translate it in English as doing nothing. But it could easily be doing everything. Doing nothing, doing everything without attachment. How's that? Wu Wei. But once permanent awakening occurs, there's no forgetting. There's always more to remember, no matter how advanced you get. You can't know it all. You don't know it all. There's always more to remember, but there's no forgetting with abiding or permanent awakening.